I want to introduce to you all, she's no stranger. I want to say she's a women's champion, but she's also a people's champion. You know, she's found a very good little niche in there. And she's been doing it for about 32 years, but she really works. She's a licensed therapist, track record of bringing clients just to a point of empowerment. You know, whether you're suffering from anxiety, substance abuse, it doesn't really matter. She's got the answers that you need. She's I call her a homegirl because I live in Lafayette. So she just happens to be like my neighbor, even though I don't know exactly where she is, but we right there in our little small community. But she's powerful. She has a passion for people and helping you to be empowered and rid whatever it is that's ailing you. So without any further ado, I want to bring up Michael Anne Conley. Yes.
I come packing. I'm on the tail end of whatever's going around, so I got my protection there. And I knew this was going to be a good day because I sat down at a seat that had flower that matched my new glasses. Is that cute? Get a good shot of that one, Ron? A man stepped up to the podium. It was a hot, muggy day. People were tired. They wanted to go home. He began to read his speech. It was good, but something was missing. And from behind him, a woman's voice, a friend, called out. Tell them about the dream, Martin. Tell them about the dream. We all have dreams, right? Everybody in this room, every single one of you, has a dream for your personal life. Some of you have a dream for your professional life. Martin Luther King had a dream for all of our lives, right? One of my dreams is to live in a world that's safe for women. So it's ironic that recently I was thinking about the client who walked into my office. And she said, "My mind is a dangerous neighborhood. I can't go in there alone." And we laughed. A dangerous neighborhood. Abandoned buildings, windows broken, walls marred with graffiti and bullet holes. And that was her inside. She felt abandoned, she had felt broken, and her internal walls were marred by the graffiti of negative self-talk, and the bullets of self-blame. Now, is there anybody here who finds this familiar or knows someone who's ever had a demand on yourself that was so high that nobody else would ever expect of you, but you expected it of yourself? Yeah. Hello. Well, that was the dangerous neighborhood that she was talking about. which was the bad news. The good news was she was excited about the discovery, and I knew how to help her. Wasn't always the case. 32 years ago, when I walked on the stage of my very first internship in women's addiction recovery, I was clueless. Now, I wrote a little bit about this in Come Out of Hiding and Shine, and my chapter is called Meeting Destiny on the Road. So it's like, what was that about? I had nothing in common with the people who worked there, or so it seemed, or the people who were there getting services. I did not grow up in an alcoholic home. I wasn't an addict myself. I hadn't married an alcoholic or an addict, and I didn't have kids who had problems with alcohol and drugs. What the heck was I doing there? I did know that I was clueless, though. And it turned out that because I came from a different perspective than the community that I had entered, I found a new way of looking at what the assumptions were. So, for instance, they would say, this is what an alcoholic family is like. And I would say, that's what my family is like. And we're not alcoholics. And then they would say, oh, there must be an alcoholic in there somewhere. And I would say, scratch an American and you'll find an alcoholic in there somewhere. And in my case, it was an uncle that I had seen only once in my life. And I later found out a great-grandfather who was a drunk or a wife abuser, and probably both. So one of the things that I learned is that this stuff travels in families, whether there's booze or beatings in your personal life or not. And that all human beings seek to soothe, whether it leads to a divorce, a DUI, death from a substance or not. And how many of us, and this was certainly true for me, how many of us seek safety for ourselves, and we do things that create it not. I certainly put my life in danger on at least 2 occasions because I was too drunk and stoned to be safe. Is there anybody here who knows about that, either in your own life or with somebody else? So I had a sense about how to help my client. And we entered into a journey together. It wasn't always fun. But it was good. Today, my title is From Pressure to Pleasure, Redesign Your Holidays. Thank you, Rebecca. We planned this, a year ago? Where's Rebecca? Here's the other thing I discovered, of course, that we have patterns, and those patterns can become embedded in us. And it's just that under times of stress, like at holiday times, it becomes tougher. Under stress, we all regress. And I don't know about you, but the drill was, okay, I'm going to go and be with the family. I'm going to try to be different. I'm trying not to decide what's going to happen, even though what's going to happen has happened every single year for the last 20 years. And then, of course, there's always a holiday happening somewhere. Fall holidays, it's a little bit tougher. Because, well, we could start, when do we start? I lived in New Orleans. There's a holiday every month. And a lot of drinking and stoning. But in general, you know, in the fall, we have, starting with the Days of Atonement, boom, boom, boom. It's like a freeway. And before you know it, like, zip, you're already at New Year's and you're going, what happened? So my client and I embarked on helping her plan and prepare for how she was going to get through the holidays differently this time. One moment. Oh, this is a speaker skill that I don't have. Yet. Thank you. Can everybody see that? Self. Oh, we'll keep the same color for this one. So in my work with women who are dealing with substance abuse, what I came to realize is they really were trying to manage anxiety and overwhelm. And the things they were doing to try to manage it was to numb themselves out. And sometimes it was sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But sometimes it was watching television, reading a book, going to a meditation class, or yoga. You're never going to get a DUI from going to a yoga class, are you? But the common thread, regardless of what the attempt was, the common thread would be the self-punishment. Oh, you idiot. Oh, I can't believe I did that again. What's wrong with me? Or apologizing a lot. Do we have any I'm so sorry. Whether it's your fault or not, right? So what I'd like to do is I'd like to share with you the first step in a 5-step process that I taught my client, that each of my clients gets to learn as a path from self-blame to what I call self-contact. Now, when you hear that word self-contact, like what is self-contact? Awareness might come up. Consciousness might come up. In the right direction, but not quite. Because those words are used as reflections of mental activity. And self-contact is much bigger than that. And I know my body workers in the room, we know this in a personal way. We suffer from an epidemic of monkey mind, right? And we tend to filter our knowing through what we think. So I'm going to invite you to try something. And you know, you don't have to close your eyes. You can if you want to. And let's see if we can get a taste. What's moving? Just notice. As you're sitting here, what's moving in you? This is not an invitation to think about it. What's literally moving? Now, I'll give you some examples. Real common example. A lot of people will notice the movement of their breath. Most exercises about breathing focus on the mechanism of breathing. That's not this exercise. As you sit here, if you don't notice anything else moving, just notice what's moving as you breathe without having to do anything else. There is no right way, no wrong way, just your way. What's moving? Perhaps you can feel how your nose moves in response to the in-breath, or how your mouth engages with the exhale. And then guess what? Breathing doesn't just happen in the front of us, does it? No. So, feel what's moving in your back. Can you feel the movement in your back? Maybe against the chair. Or if you're sitting and have your arm on the table, just feel the movement that's happening as you sit here without having to make anything else happen. It is natural in you. All life is movement, and guess what? Movements have thought, and thought doesn't happen without movement. So that's why I encourage you to let your body lead so your mind doesn't have to. We are trained to lead from our thoughts so much that when you're even asked the question, what's going on, often the responses I get have to do with what's going on up here, the content of what I'm thinking. But even as you sit here, knowing that your mind is thinking, can you feel any physical activity in your brain? You may not, because we lose that ability. And yet, being able to tap into what's moving in you, what's physical in you, is an antidote to self-blame. In teaching my clients to notice when the blame stuff comes up, to say, oh, where is this happening in me? It shifts the attention. Now, there's the second part that my client learned, which was, I can't go in there alone. And I want to invite you to consider not going into the holidays alone this year. So, Brandy, if you can pass out these handouts, I am offering a holiday habit makeover session. And it's not an external makeover, that's the luscious part. It's an internal makeover. I like to have private conversations because, as Sophie said, these are sensitive subjects, and a lot of times we feel embarrassed about it. So if you're interested in having that private conversation with me, do fill out the form, and we'll get on the schedule and support you in getting through this holiday season free of anxiety, worry, guilt, and regret. Thank you.
Powerful.
Are you a speaker looking to reach more people with your message? You have a global vision that you want to touch the world and make a global difference. If so, I have an amazing opportunity for you. It's called the Speaker Talent Search. Again, that's the speakertalentsearch.com. You'll find all the details, but here are the highlights. With one application process, you get clarity on your message. You get to fine-tune how you want to reach the world. Then you'll have everything ready in one place for the opportunities when they come. Second, we select you as a finalist. You get to come in and audition with a 7-minute audition, open up the door to hundreds of speaking opportunities. I hope you lean in. I hope you say yes. We would love to hear your message, help you touch the world powerfully. Again, that's the speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your powerful message.
Rebecca's going to be coming back up, and the subject that she's really going to be dealing with is money tips. And this is how I met Rebecca. I met Rebecca in the financial advising world. And one thing that I will say about her that really impressed me, not only was she very good at what she did, but most advisors talk about money. Rebecca talks about your life. And she always had a box of tissue handy, because those conversations were very powerful and they led to some heartfelt discussions that needed to take place. So I'm really looking forward for her to come forward. I'm also excited because she's talking about money tips right now during this holiday season. And being that this is technically a conference for women, I get to go home and tell my wife, Rebecca gave money tips for the holidays, and she said, do you really need anything else? No, don't spend any money. So without any further ado, my friend Rebecca Gruyter.
Appreciate it. Well, I thought it worked out well that we're talking about safety, so we're ready for money to have that conversation. And we can find all kinds of money things come up during the holidays, and so I wanted to help you stand in your power around money, particularly during the holidays. So it's not something that starts haunting you into 2017 and becomes this New Year's resolution that you're dragging forward. So if we can really get in front of things, connect with money powerfully now, with purpose, have it serve and support us, you're going to be in a really powerful position through the holidays. You'll know where your boundaries are. You'll have a plan. And you'll be able to step forward powerfully in 2017 with your money. Does that sound good? Yes. Oh, okay, good. Oh, I want to tell you what I have discovered around money. And client after client, when I would work with them, they would get a little tense around the holidays. They'd start to feel pulled a lot of different directions, expectations, spending. I have to get gifts. I don't know, what is this game, whatever, like technology they're not familiar with. And we sometimes confuse spending a lot of money with love. That's how we're showing love. And then it feels great in the moment. And then January comes, February comes, it starts not to feel so good. That expensive thing we got them is not really necessarily even being used on that same level. And it's not necessarily that we set out to do that. I think it's we just don't know kind of how to approach money in the holidays and gifts and all of that. So what I have found the best way is to actually back up a moment, take a breath, and remember what's important to you, your why. And then how does your why connect with money? How can it support you? How can money, regardless of the holidays, support you? And where that conversation starts is what's important about money to you. And spending a moment exploring that. Find out. In fact, have you talked to money lately? Oh, I got one. I got some squiggliness. Okay, we got a few. Were they happy conversations? Those that had them? Okay, good. Good. Okay. Yeah, it's a relationship. And you all have an amazing advantage to having a relationship with money. Many of you are healers, speakers, transformational experts in different capacities. You know how to heal things. You know how to move things forward. You know how to help people through blocks. Those skills are transferable. You've already got the skills. But we want to check in with money. And in fact, it's good to do a little check-in. How is my relationship with money on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 is relationship. 10 is thriving. I can't wait to get together with money again. In fact, I'm going to get money a Christmas gift, and we're going to change the world and build this next thing that the world needs money and I together. That's like a 10, thriving. Just do a little check-in. It's not with judgment. It's not with criticism. But if we don't know where we're at, it's hard to have it go somewhere else. Maybe it's 10 and we just want to keep that going. Maybe it's a 3. Maybe it's, didn't know I could have a relationship with money. Because you need to know where you're at. And then what I have found that creates cash flow, that creates money being in alignment with you, is talking with it. We have to lead that pathway, that conversation. Just like we've been talking about how you are in the center, you have to let money know what you want to do, where you're wanting to build things, where you're wanting to go. You create the pathway. Money doesn't do it for you. You need to do it. You need to lead it. You need to figure out where you're going. But so here's where the magic happens. Once we know what's important to us about money, what we're wanting to bring to the world, then we kind of check in and see where we are with money. Then we can start to think about how do we bring that together in the holidays. And here's the biggest tip I can give you. Have a plan. Because we've all heard that phrase, those who fail to plan to fail. Yeah, we don't typically approach the holidays with a plan, with a strategy. We're just kind of, I got to get this, I've got to do that, I need a couple bonus gifts because someone might stop by, I don't know, I might be invited to something, and we're kind of letting it run us. Whereas if we can step back and remember year-round what's important to me about money, year-round, what do I want to bring forward? How do I want money to support me? Knowing that, remembering that, now that I look at the holiday season, how do I purposely choose to spend my dollars, my time, my energy, my resources? Get really clear and practical. And this may be stretching the edge a little bit. But I find when I did this, and originally I did it because I had to do it, I had a certain dollar amount. That's what I had. And I had people I wanted to buy things for. It actually helped me get creative and thoughtful. It became really fun to find the deal, find the thing. I could put a lot of thought and care into what I was bringing forward. I became very connected to it. And then when I honored that container, it didn't create debt that then haunted me throughout the year. Because you want to remember what's important to you. So I encourage you to do a budget. Oh. It can be done. Or you can, as my dad always calls it, a spending plan. But it's a plan for your spending. Let's figure it out. Let's have an estimate. I have 10 people I'm going to buy things for. I'm going to spend $50 each. That ends up being $500. And maybe one I spend 40, another I spend 60. I mean, you can kind of estimate that, but you want to have a ballpark. You want to have a plan. You want to figure it out. So it's not a mystery and a surprise, and I hope it all works out. Let's really have a strategy. That's one of the most loving things you can do for you. That's keeping you in the center. That's one of the loving things you can do because it's less stress. You know you can do this. You can give in the way you're wanting to give. Still be loving, still be supportive. And then other things that can happen during the holidays, and I don't know if this has ever happened to any of you, but have you noticed families grow? So what happens to that list? And then every new family entity that gets added has different traditions, different ways they're doing gifts. And pretty soon it can be this huge burden rather than joyful during the holidays. So you can actually be a leader in this and maybe explore if it's finding that point, that tipping point where it just is becoming crazy big. Call a family meeting. Decide how you want to do this. Have a plan together as a family or as a gathering of friends. I've talked with people where they like to get together for the holidays and everyone buys a gift and then it just starts to become this thing. Whereas what they're really wanting is to come together, not having additional pressure. They want to celebrate together. And so they just called a team meeting, came together and said, no gifts. And everyone went, oh, good. Right? But sometimes we need someone to lead that conversation, open up the dialogue. You'll find in most cases people are relieved to actually talk about it. It's like the elephant in the room no one wants to talk about. But boy, it would take a lot of pressure off if we did. And we were very purposeful in the gifts or the way that we're celebrating as we're coming together. So the biggest tip I can give you is have a plan. Great. And open up the dialogue about how we're going to do these things. Some families will do a drawing where you pick one person and you buy a larger item instead of little gifts for everyone. Sometimes it's you buy it for the children. You just have to define the children because they grow up and multiply. So you got to check in periodically. And this is real. We want to be really practical as we're looking at this because if we can have those things understood, be on the same page, that relieves a lot of pressure. Then we're not saying the amount of buying or me buying a gift equals love. Because it doesn't. It can be a way of expressing it. It can be a way of sharing it. But you want to do that check-in. And if we don't check in on these things, they just multiply and we just kind of keep doing the things. And after a while, it can be a burden. So I encourage you to think about what is it, how do I want to approach this? What's the strategy I want to use? What is the spending container that I have to bring the most joy and most sharing that I want to bring forward? Because remember, every 24 hours, you get to keep making new choices. And what you do every minute adds up to every hour, adds up to every 24 hours, adds up to every week, month, year, and your life. Let's be purposeful in how we're dealing with our dollars, that they are in alignment with what's most important to us, with what we want to bring forward, the way we want to touch the world. Money is not this separate thing that we shove back here and we don't want to talk to. It can be something that supports us really powerfully when we have a dialogue, when we have a conversation, when we have a strategy and a plan that we're bringing forward. It doesn't just magically happen. We bring the magic. We bring the container. We show money, here's what I care about. Here's what I want to bring to the world. We want to have that dialogue with money, letting it know what's important so that we're building that together, not trying to hope it all magically happens, because we bring the magic forward during the holidays and throughout the year. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So what is the big tip again? Have a remember what's important about money. Remember your why. and have that dialogue, really be building that relationship to where you want it to go. And I had a quick activity I wanted us to do, and it's fun with money. I want you to think about if we're having money support us during the holidays. We're actually connecting with it, not hoping we don't have to deal with it. Maybe it just all kind of happens. And then January, we're like, oh, how did that happen? We want to get in front of that. So part of shifting that is having the conversation and actually letting money support you. So I want you to think about what is it you would like money to share with you so that you know you're supported, that you know you're connected, that you're building what matters to you. How would money be able to share that with you? What would it say to you? And we're going to do something with this, so make sure you have something that you would like money to share with you so you know you're supported. You know that what matters to you, the magic you want to bring to the world now during the holidays and throughout your life is happening. So take a moment, feel into that. Great. And then we're going to go around the room, and I want you to whisper into a buddy's ear. You can choose what you wish money would say to you and share that gift. Let's bring that magical money connection together today. So let's stand up and share that magical gift. So whisper in the ears, heart-to-heart shares. We want to shine in this area. What do you wish money would share with you? About 30 more seconds. What do you wish money would whisper in your ear so you could have a magical holiday season? Don't be shy. Money's not shy. Create a safe space. Share that gift. Now, I observed something as you were all whispering in each other's ears or heart-to-heart sharing how you wish money would support you, how you can have that magical connection. I saw smiles. I saw hugs. I saw tears and connection that happened. And we can have that with our money during the holidays. We can carry that kind of energy, giving that gift to each other and bringing that forward. But what helps us do that is having some direction, having that plan, knowing where you're going. So here's an extra credit bonus opportunity I encourage you to lean in to during the holidays. I encourage you to open up the dialogue with yourself and with others. Really put together a plan, a strategy. Perhaps it's a $300 container, a $500 container, whatever it is, so that it really becomes a gift and not a burden as you go through the holidays. Have it be a gift that you can joyfully give. If it's going out and celebrating, really kind of have a container around that so it's not something that haunts you. And then give yourself the gift of what money whispered in your ear that touched your heart, that encouraged you, that helped you feel connected to your why and to what matters to you. Really important to build that into your life because we're the ones that bring the magic. We're the ones that can direct where it goes. So I'm going to encourage you to take a stand right now, literally standing. There you go. And we're going to say, I am willing to magically connect with my money and shine. Wonderful. Thank you.
What is it about Rebecca? Oh my goodness. She has been an incredible mentor to me. First off, she saw me. She sees me. And she has been so supportive of my mission to create safety for women inside themselves and in the world. And that's just been immeasurable. She really has my back, and it's been so delightful to be on this journey together, knowing that we're both intent on making the world a better place for us all. Rebecca, I love you.
Hi, I am Jan Jorgensen, and I am so thrilled to give a testimonial for Rebecca Hall Gruyter. As we know, the voice of truth of the feminine wisdom is so needed now, and she's giving us not a little push, but a quantum leap to move past our fear and go out into the media and say what we know to transform reality through our voices. I am Jan Jorgensen. I am founder of the SOAR Initiative and the channel owner of Women Helping Women SOAR and TV host of Just Jan. Thank you.